When I heard that Fear Street was getting another installment, I was so excited. But after watching, I'm kinda disappointed. I love the Fear Street trilogy. I think it was perfectly crafted, but this entry doesn't really work for me. I guess they were trying to shift the tone and try to make it stand on its own, but what they ended up doing was make a generic slasher film. If you were to tell me that this takes place in the same universe as a trilogy, I would laugh in disbelief. This movie abandons the atmosphere of the trilogy. And even though they do mention the killers and the story takes place in the same high school, this does not feel like Shadyside. This just feels like a poor remake of Prom Night. The Fear Street trilogy never failed in making the drama interesting, and with this, it's just so lame and unengaging. And the movie comes off more as a comedy than a horror, even though there are a couple creepy scenes in there. Also, the acting is off, and Sarah Fair is non-existent in this movie, which would be fine if this movie did not take place between the first and second movies in the trilogy. If this was post-trilogy, then yeah, the main conflict was resolved, so it wouldn't really matter, but this takes place within the trilogy, so people would still be talking about Sarah Fair and the killers. The Fear Street trilogy took a different angle when approaching the slasher genre. It implemented a different way of storytelling, and it had very interesting characters and great performances. It felt like it was trying to do something new, while Prom Night felt like it was just copying off old slasher films. The writers did a poor job with the development of the characters and their storylines and the dynamics. And I don't like when mean characters are cartoonishly evil. Tiffany is such a one-note mean girl that is turned all the way up to 50 when she should be a 5 on the mean scale. The main character Lori gets bullied by Tiffany because of something she had no control over. Also, Tiffany and her friends are the only ones who really care that Lori's mother killed someone. Everyone else seems to like her, and the movie tries to make it seem as though everyone is against her, which is so not the case. The love interest for Lori is the most boring character in the movie, and their romance is equally as boring. They have zero chemistry. Both actors look uninterested in each other when they're talking, and they will stare at each other from across the room, which is supposed to be cute, but it's not. Having Tiffany's entire family be killers is such an interesting concept, and they wasted it. If this wasn't a part of the Fear Street franchise, then its flaws wouldn't be that bad, but considering how good the other movies are, the drop in quality is obvious and very distracting. In my slasher film video, I said that bad acting doesn't really bother me when I'm watching. It's the story I'm here for. But with Prom Night, the story isn't all that engaging, so the acting is like front row and center. So I find it hard to focus on the movie when the acting is just abysmal. In a slasher film, if we're going to spend most of the time with the characters, then there needs to be good acting, good performances, and good dialogue. Because if there isn't any, you're asking the audience to engage with something that is not engaging. So people will either come off the movie, hate watch it, or just skip to the actual slashing part of the movie. I sat through the movie watching in disbelief that this takes place in the same franchise as the trilogy. The reveals were underwhelming and predictable, and the ending was also predictable. The fact that they didn't use any of the killers is insane, and resorting to a guy in a mask is such a downgrade. The trilogy was a supernatural horror thriller. It had interesting villains and an interesting mystery, and each movie was done beautifully. I don't know what happened to make them fall so hard from grace, and I don't know why they couldn't just have given us a Ruby Lane movie. I needed that like 4 years ago.